Hey, what's up guys? I'm BTC. Today we're going to be talking about the Overwatch League, and I am joined by Skillkapped. If you're unfamiliar with him, he's been in a couple of my videos. He is one of the best Overwatch players in the world. For quite a while, he was the #1 Soldier 76 and McCree player on Master Overwatch. He's a Grandmaster and top 500 player. Welcome, Skill, to the channel.
Hey guys, what's up?
So today we're going to be talking about the Overwatch League. So the reason I brought Skill to the channel today is because he has actually played in some of these smaller tournaments, and he's been trying to get into a good Overwatch team, and I thought it would be good to share it with you guys, his experiences on how it can be very difficult to actually find a good team, and why the Overwatch League could be a pretty awesome step in the right direction for players who are basically unknown, but who are still very good and could actually compete at the highest levels of a particular game. So really quick, I'm going to go through some of the key points of the Overwatch League. So basically, how they're going to make it is it's going to be similar to like the NFL or Major League Baseball and stuff like that. So rather than having the traditional esports where you have, Team Liquid or Envy or, Evil Geniuses or whatever teams you have for a variety of games, like they don't actually operate out of a single location. It's a team, and the players are associated with that team first. But what Blizzard is going to be doing with the Overwatch League is more traditional. They're going to make it so that the players are attached to a specific city, and then that city is run by a specific team. So it might be, Team Liquid that runs the Dallas, Texas team. And then you might have, Luminosity running the, Los Angeles, California team or something to that effect. So they're going to be taking it in a different direction than traditional esports. So that's the first thing. You're going to represent a major city with kind of a team attached to it. Next is those teams like, Liquid and Luminosity and everybody else, they actually have to bid for those cities. So they haven't explained this process. It's probably going to be a fairly behind closed doors process that these teams deal with Blizzard. But basically, all the different esports teams, the established ones, if they want to participate in this, they are probably going to have to buy a license of some sort from Blizzard in order to actually operate in the league, in order to actually take the city. So if they want Dallas or they want Boston or whatever, they have to bid for it. Now, with that, the players are going to actually get contracts. Now, most esports teams do have contracts, any of the major ones, that is. The little kind of scrub team, pickup game type stuff, the ones who only do, the weekend tournaments, they're not going to have that. But the big teams who are actually, paying their players are going to have contracts. But now, every single person that is in the Overwatch League will have a contract, and there will be a guaranteed minimum pay for everybody. So basically the idea is Blizzard wants the players to not have to work other jobs. They want this to be your job. You don't see NFL players going and doing other jobs. I mean, they might have, maybe some of them might have some guest spots on a TV show or something, but they don't have to actually do a real, not a real job, but they don't have to do another job. And that's what Blizzard wants to do with this. So the regular season is going to be LAN play. So when the teams are competing, I don't know if this actually is kind of, this actually, it almost feels like they don't trust their own netcode. You know what I mean? Like they don't trust the Boston team to go against the Dallas team and have a good enough of a connection. So all of the games in the regular season are going to be LAN play. I mean, which is going to give the best experience anyways. But I mean, I literally just thought of that just now, and I thought it was kind of funny. I'm like, well, maybe they don't trust their own netcode. But So there's also going to be a dedicated online hub, which is going to be a Blizzard-run website. It's going to have all of the players' stats and all of the other, every single piece of information you could possibly want, interviews, all that other stuff for all the players. And then things that can, because here's one of the most important things, is how do you actually get into the league? Well, apparently it's invite only. So there doesn't look like there's going to be actual competitions or like a ladder match in order to, you know, like a bracket, like whoever wins this tournament gets to, well, I guess it wouldn't even really be possible because, I guess they do have the 1v1 now, but that's a really bad way to actually pick players, especially since like the heroes are random and stuff. So basically the only way you can get into the league is invite only. And some of the things that can help you get that invite are going to be high rank placements in the competitive ladder season. You can participate in other online leagues and other third-party events. So that was a whole bunch of stuff. Let's talk with Skill and see how this is going to affect everything. All right, so now that I've rambled for far, far too long, Skill, what do you think of all of this?
I think that the Overwatch League overall is a very good idea, but I'm afraid to see how it'll be handled and who will be chosen to actually participate in the league. Now, from what we know, it's invite only. So I assume that celebrities and people already on teams are going to get an automatic invite. What I'm not sure is if people in the top 500, or maybe you're a grandmaster or master, or maybe you have good stats, I'm not quite sure how you're going to be evaluated and get an invite to actually go perform to see if you can get into the Overwatch League. That's what I'm afraid about. Overall, it sounds like a very good idea.
So you and I actually have a similar problem with this. I have a decently known pseudo-celebrity internet status, but I'm not good enough to actually compete. And you're good enough to compete, but you're an unknown. So, like, if you could just rub some of that skill over here, then I could get in at least, or maybe I can try to pimp you out a bit and get you a little more known. Yeah, I don't know exactly, because they've been very, very tight on the details here. They've given kind of a minimal, general explanation of how it's going to run. I think that anybody that hits top 500 is going to be looked at. But again, the way that they've explained it is that these teams, all the different esports teams, are going to bid for a location. They're going to get the place. But then who they draft is entirely up to them. And I kind of have a bad feeling, and I think you share the sentiment, that they're going to pick from the known pool of players. So when they get the list of all, because I'm sure Blizzard is going to give the information to all of the different teams, and they're going to say, these are all the people that were Grandmaster, these are all the people that were top 500, here are some stats, blah, 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 blah. But I think what's going to end up happening, unfortunately, is that these teams are still going to do kind of the same thing for that they've been doing, where if they look at the names, like, you might have amazing stats, but if they look at you and they're like, I have no idea who the hell this guy is, and they're just gonna, all right, next, and then they're gonna see somebody else and they're like, oh, I know that guy from CSGO, or I know that guy from Team Fortress, or whatever it happens to be. They're probably gonna want to go with a more known brand, a more known name, than giving the guy with amazing stats a shot, just because they don't know who he is.
Right. So if you look at the current top teams, all of these people. All right, here's an insider, okay? These people are in those teams because they can make them money. Some of the people on these teams are not the best in their category. You know, there's some better supports out there than the supports on some of these teams. And I'm not going to name the teams, right? But the reason they're on there is because they're well known and they can make them money.
They can sell. They can pay can put butts in seats. They can sell merchandise. I mean, it's very similar to the traditional pro sports as well. I mean, someone might not be the best quarterback, or they may not be the best receiver or whatever, but they're popular for whatever reason. They sell tons and tons of jerseys. People line up to get autographs and all that sort of stuff. So the teams will keep them there, even though they're not actually the best person for the job. And that's, you're saying that this is exactly what's happening in Overwatch as well, correct?
Yeah, so me personally, I've been trying to get onto a very good team. I've actually talked with some of the very good teams, but they won't take you over someone who is guaranteed to make them money, because if you are brand new, if you don't have a name, they're taking a risk, and if you don't pay off, they just lost out on potential money, right? So, like I have the best McCree stats out of every single professional player right now in Overwatch. My stats are way beyond them, right? And they play with their teammates, which is even more absurd. But
because you
no one
usually
has talked
solo
to me.
queue, right?
Yeah, I basically play solo, which is it's crazy to me. But no one has talked to me. No one has come up. No one really cares, because I'm not guaranteed to make them money. And that's the problem. And again, like, if the people there, if the sponsors or the team managers or whatever are there signing people, maybe the way you look, the way you sound, maybe how well you're known, how nice you are to someone, all of that is going to have an impact. And if you're a celebrity, it looks like you're going to get an automatic sign-on. Like, that would make the most sense from a business standpoint.
Well,
I hope it doesn't work out that way, but that's what it looks like.
Well, if we look at this if we step back and look at it from kind of an impartial view, Overwatch as an esport isn't really doing that well. There are a lot of issues, and we can go into that in a few minutes here, but there are a lot of issues with it. It's not a definite thing. Some esports organizations have already pulled out of Overwatch. Like, they just don't want anything to do with it. A bunch of other players who came from CSGO and stuff decided that they wanted to go, they were going to try out Overwatch, and then they decided, nope, this is not it, and they're going back to CSGO or back to whatever other games. From the company, like the esport team perspective, it's not a sure thing. And like with other traditional sports, so they can take a relatively unknown, they can take a college draft pick who has amazing stats. They have more than enough money to give that person an opportunity. If they work out, amazing. If they don't, then they can just drop them and it's not a big deal. But with these esports teams, they don't have the abundance of cash to take all of these risks. So that's why, unfortunately, it does seem to be like, as you said, their number one priority is making as much money as possible, so that they can continue to exist, as opposed to building the best team possible and then getting the money afterwards. So that does, certainly present some of these problems when you're, the relatively unknown. All right, so going back a second, I said that Overwatch isn't doing that amazing as an esport, and it's because of a lot of different issues. So what do you think some of those issues are?
Well, the first one is the game itself is very static. When you see these top-level teams play, they basically have the same exact lineup. They have 2 support, 2 tank, 2 DPS. They usually have similar character choices, like McCree. You're going to have Sombra now that she's released, even though, I'm not sure how much she's going to be picked, but you'll see her every now and then. You have Zarya, Diva. You see the exact same characters.
Basically, half the roster is ignored.
Exactly. Like, you must play the best characters that fits it best in, like, the most situations that it can, and that's going to be the best character, right? You're not going to see Pharah because just, like, the amount of characters out there that can deal with her is insane. So The game is very stale in that aspect. Another thing is that the game itself is not very. It does not require as much skill as say CS:GO, right? CS:GO, you have a million different things that you need to watch out for. You need to hear things. You need to watch out for, someone coming around the corner. You need to watch your own movement, your aim, everything like recoil patterns. Overwatch is you literally just walk around, you point your gun at something, and you click, and it'll hit them, right? It's not very difficult, and that's the way that the game was designed. Now, in the long run, I think that'll actually hurt the esports for this game because it was designed for the casual player. I think esports wise, it would have been better if it was designed for a more hardcore community rather than what we have now.
Well, I've talked about this in the past as well. When people watch a professional match of anything, they want to see someone who is able to show absolute mastery over a difficult game, whatever that happens to be. And when the skill cap for the game is a lot lower than other esports, those top level players, it doesn't take as much to be a top level player in Overwatch as it does to be a top level player in CSGO. So, like, the difference between the casual player and the top level is a lot smaller than the difference between the casual and the top level in another game. It's basically what I'm trying to get at. So there's a lot more, like, extreme differences in skill, and that is what people want to see when they watch these high-level competitive esports. They want to be able to see people who can do, like, this amazing stuff.
Yeah, so another example is if you take a card game, for example, your chances to win are usually 50-50, right? But if you're a very good player, then it's usually widely accepted that you have an additional 1% chance to win over your opponent. So it's 51-49. That means that you're in a positive win rate, which is very good. Now, in Overwatch, it feels exactly the same. See, in CSGO, if I hit heads and I play well, I can carry my team. I can literally kill 3 or 4 people and win the game that way. But in Overwatch, I feel like every game in the top 500, it's a coin flip to see who, like, the average player is going to be better on my team or on the enemy's team. And I have no control over whether I win or lose. No matter how well I perform, there is a cap to how well I can play the game. If I play perfectly, it's still not good enough to win the game for my team. I need to rely on the other people. And some of the people in the top 500 are not as good as you would think they are.
All right, so shifting back to the league itself, do you think that something like this is actually going to make it easier for someone in your situation to find a team? Or do you feel that it's still going to run into the same problems where if you're an unknown, you're basically not going to be given a chance?
I think it'll be better simply because Blizzard is the one who's doing the invites and not the sponsors or the companies themselves that are doing it. And I think more people will get invited to the league that deserve to be. But I think the people who end up getting signed is going to be the celebrity type, streamers, YouTubers, people who are already well known in the community.
People who can put butts in seats and sell merchandise, basically.
Exactly. Hopefully that's not the case, but that's what it's looking like.
Well, I mean, I think this is the first ever attempt at something like this for an esport. I mean, there are lots of other tournaments and leagues and stuff that are run for other games that have like huge, followings and lots of players, lots of teams and that sort of stuff. But this is being run more like the traditional one where you represent the city and that sort of deal. And, there's the guaranteed minimum pay and all that sort of stuff. I'm curious as to see like what all the other kind of stipulations in the contracts are. Like, are they going to actually move you out to the city and all that sort of stuff? So there's still tons and tons of information that they haven't given us yet. So a lot of this right now is just kind of speculation, but we'll have to see. But I think that's going to be about it for this one. Skill, thank you very much for coming by. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
But that's it for this one. Guys, if you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe because there's lots more Overwatch on the channel. Remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault.